represent those of Revive FM or its management.
That was not a good start. Hello. You're listening to Hafsa and Tahreem on Revive FM 94.0. Our show is called The Unspoken Taboos. Hi Hafsa, how are you this morning?
I'm good. I hope everyone is well and enjoying this gloomy Tuesday morning. The British weather can't make his mind up. 1 minute it's sunny, next minute it's raining. I woke up this morning and I felt like it was one of them dull winter days. Couldn't believe it. We're actually in July.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Hopefully it'll get better. Fingers crossed. We've had a lovely sunny couple of weeks though, leading up to the rain, so it's not been too bad. And I don't mind this weather, to be honest, because it's nice. It kind of, gives us a cool breeze. And to be fair, I'm not wearing a cardigan or a sweater or anything. I'm in a t-shirt, so it's not exactly cold. So it's all good. Just got to make the best of it. So today's topic, listeners, is a little bit of an interesting one, and as our show's precedent is probably an unspoken taboo in the wider BAME community. Especially the South Asian community, and particularly the South Asian community, I'd say. What is it, Hafsa? Tell us
Okay, so you know what? Whilst I was eating my bowl of Frosties this morning, I picked up the paper and I read last year there were more than 100,000 divorces in England and Wales. Yes. So the divorce rates in the UK are amongst the highest in the entire world. Yes. Shocking, utterly shocked. I was looked, and you know what? The spoon fell out of my mouth, and I was like, "What?" I had a Frosty all over my clothes.
A very little spoon.
I was shocked, and you know what? Even the British Asian divorces, of the last few decades, it's certainly been on the rise. But what is it has it become far too easy for British Asian couples to divorce? Have they given up on trying to make marriages work? Are they more like they're not willing to tolerate as much, and the high expectations have, all overridden cultural values?
This is all taking me back to the show that we did last week, and it kind of, brings to light a lot of the issues we discussed about marriages and divorce and things like that. So obviously, we will discuss them in more detail.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about the divorce rate.
Yeah,
in the UK.
100,000.
Actually, the last time I did some research on it, from what I understood, is that the highest divorce rate in the world is actually in the Maldives. Ironically.
Yeah, I suppose with the rise, with the pandemic and COVID, people have realized that they're probably not compatible, not right for, they're forced to spend time with one another. And I suppose that's definitely played a part in it.
Yeah. I would love to know what the viewers think. If you are married, newlywed, divorced, married twice, married thrice, if you're still looking for the one and true love of your life, talk to us. Tell us a little bit about your perspective on divorce, why you think divorce rates are rising, particularly in the UK, and more specifically in the South Asian community. The studio number is 0333 444 0940. I repeat, 0333 444 0940.
I suppose, I think once upon a time, divorce was unheard of. The first generation, it was unless your life was in immediate danger then you divorce. Other than that, you were just expected to part with the grief, the hardship, or whatever it is you were going through.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you were to divorce, you'd bring so much shame onto the family.
It was such a big disgrace, wasn't it? Yeah. And it wasn't even a taboo. It was actually a complete disgrace. It was unheard of. Yeah. And you know what? The funniest thing is, I reflect back to my earliest memories of divorce. I never actually saw it happen in my family, but because they always just stayed together, and alhamdulillah, I can't ever recall anyone being very unhappy together. They, mashallah, looked happy together. And I told you the story about my mamu a couple of shows ago, where it didn't matter what was happening, how cold or hot the food was, he would wait until his wife had done the kitchen duties and joined the dining table before they would eat together. So it wasn't just the case of her waiting to break bread with him, it was also the case of him waiting to bread with her, because that was the intensity of their love.
But is it a case of that they were just a lot happier then, or was it because they were just brushing issues under the carpet?
I don't think they had issues back then.
No, I think there were issues there, but they were just expected to tolerate it. It was the norm back then that, what you would just put up with it. That's
I think
what
there may have been
life.
A shift between no issues and issues and then tolerate. But from what I remember, I'm talking my mamas and my grandparents, their generation. I don't think in those days there were issues. You know why? Because people were very simple, Hafsa. You know, everyone knew. A girl was told from a young age that, listen, you are a woman. You are created by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to be a homemaker. And a man was nurtured and raised into this masculine role to say you are in this world to basically provide for your family. And obviously there was a very fine line between what they were being conditioned and raised as. But I think people back in those days were quite simple anyway. The women didn't want to go out. You know, even if they had, I remember my uncle would be like, go to the shops and get something, I'm tired. And my mom would be like, no, I'm not going. Women in my family don't do this. We don't go out. Even to the certain extent of like, when we were younger, I remember my elder cousins, who are the elders in the generations of, you know, cousins, because there's so many different generations of cousins, they didn't even go up to the terrace. Literally, because they just had no interest.
I don't know. I mean, that's because back then women weren't educated. They weren't aware of their rights.
Not always. I have met women.
Familiar.
My family is full of educated women. We've got doctors, PhDs, Urdu, professors. My aunt was a head teacher for a private school her whole life. She's highly educated, but at the same time, the simplicity in the way they lived their life, the expectations.
I suppose, expectations
were so
might have been different.
You know, they just expected, they just appreciated what they got, and they showed gratitude towards it. I think that one of the bigger reasons is that we're actually quite greedy and needy now. We want more and more and more. It's not just about being educated. It's not just about your huquqs, because your huquqs Islamically go beyond that education.
I can agree to a certain extent about the expectations. They weren't as high, but I think there were still lots of marriages where people were abused and domestic violence still being quite common. I mean, but again, you were just you were just expected to put up with it. Oh, okay, don't worry, it'll get better, or you know, he'll get better over time. You know, sabr, patience. It's all part of Allah's tests. It's all part of it. You know, you're married and that's it. You know, there's no turning back now. You just that's your life now. There was, it was that expectation, and because of the stigma attached to it, people were scared to take that step. So although you might have been educated and might have been familiar about your rights and about what you should put up with or what's abusive or what isn't, but again, people were scared to take that step. It's like, okay, what is going to happen to me? How am I going to cope? The logistics around the kids, the finances, and more importantly, your emotions. Whereas now it's different. Like, I think young Asian professionals raised in the UK will probably divorce for much of the same reason as the average white person in Britain.
Probably more.
Yeah, or possibly, yeah. So, what is the real cause of British Asian divorce? And let's just look into some of those reasons. Now, one of the most common reasons for divorce.
Let me guess it.
Is
come on, let me guess.
Go on, you probably get this right.
It's the rotis are not round enough. Is it that? No, I'm joking. Obviously, no man can be that petty. If you are having a go at your wife,
listen,
the rotis are not round enough.
I can't make round rotis.
Okay, obviously, on a serious note, adultery. Cheating.
Adultery and affairs are one of the most common reasons as to why marriages end. Now, there certainly has been a rise in adultery. I'm just going to give you some statistics. So, a survey of 5,000 people in the UK found that striking parallel between men and women's reasons for infidelity. And you know what? Surprisingly, neither of them prioritize sex.
Okay,
that's interesting. So you'd think. So when we think of affairs, instantly we think, oh, you know what? He's got, high sex drive, and
the man is not satisfying the woman.
Yeah, and he can't get enough. We just think, oh,
why are you saying he, woman? Listen, a lot of women cheat too. Okay, I'm a very big advocate of this because I know plenty of bad stories where the man has actually been the victim and the woman's the one that's actually playing behind his back.
Let's
not stereotype here. Let's not brush them all with the same tarnish, because we know some lovely men out there who would not even look at another woman, let alone cheat on their wives.
That's interesting. So
but let's
look into a few more statistics on that.
We'll come back to that because we've got to take a little break, and then we'll roll back. I'm going to play a lovely nasheed for you guys to enjoy that, and Hafsa will be back with a few more reasons as to why divorces rise in the UK.
Enjoy your break.
In the meantime, stay tuned and call in. We'd love to hear your views. Number is 0333 444 0940 0333 444 0940. Chat to you in a bit.
दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी तकसीम खुराक मुहिम कुर्बानी का हिस्सा बने। भूख करोड़ों अफराद की जान ले लेती है। इस ईद पर मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन को दी गई कुर्बानी से जिंदगियां बचाएं। सिर्फ 40 पाउंड सिर्फ कुर्बानी में हिस्सा लें। इसके साथ ईद का तोहफा भी शामिल करें। इस साल ईद कुर्बान सिर्फ मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन के साथ। अभी कॉल मिला 0300 3030 777 या विजिट करें minhajwelfare.org.
Thinking of selling or letting your property? Need someone reliable to find the best prospect for your home? Well, look no further. Cameron Adams is here to take care of all your needs. Our professional and experienced team will guide you through the entire process and ensure you find the right client for your property. For a no obligation quotation, contact us now on 0208 558 2000. That's 0208 558 2000. Or visit us at 30 Church Lane in Leytonstone. Cameron Adams, always at your service.
Let's connect with the Holy Quran. Minhaj Dawah Project distributes the Holy Quran in plain simple English for free. You can donate £3 and sponsor a Quran to a loved one, a neighbour, a colleague or a friend. We distribute Qurans totally free of charge across the whole UK, including in prisons. Please call us now to contribute on 0300 030 1951 or email us on dawah@minhajuk.org.
If you want to advertise your business on Revive FM, then visit www.revivefm.co.uk. Alternatively, contact our sales team now on 079 44 56 5616. That's 079 44 56 5616.
Does your pizza excite you? The London Pizza Depot invites you on a journey with our worldwide inspired pizzas. To the smoke and jerk drums of Jamaica, to savor the Caribbean hot, to sunny California, to enjoy the greatest invention, the Cali cheeseburger. Transport yourself with every bite. Our authentically prepared hand-stretched dough, freshly diced veg, finest cuts of halal meat, and our 100% mozzarella cheese ensures the delivery of a masterpiece every time. Visit www.londonpizzadepot.co.uk or our branches in Ilford or Plaistow. Now you can enjoy buy one pizza get one free every Tuesday. T's and C's apply.
The Career Link Project is a free employment and careers service aimed at supporting young BAME women to navigate a path towards a successful future. If you're 16 or over and currently out of work, you could receive up to 10 months of personalised one-on-one career support and skills-based training to help you secure your future. Get in touch with us today on 07862 035 511 or email us at clp@tffn.co.uk. The Career Link Project, your future in your hands.
With over 40 years' experience in the industry, Plachette Carpets is the place to go for all your carpets, laminates, linos, and wood flooring. We have an established network of suppliers, which means we can offer some of the best prices in town. We offer free estimates, free measurements, and now even free fitting. Call us now on 0208 472 8568 or visit us at 157 Plachette Road, Upton Park, London, E13 0QZ.
Oh, little boy, hold on tight. I know you are an orphan child. Please don't grieve. please don't cry, for Allah is by your side. He'll show you the way, show you the way. Ya Allah, Ya Rabbal Alameen. He'll show you the way, show you the way. Ya Allah, Ya Rabbal Alameen. He taught us to be just and fair, taught us to care. He was an orphan child, yet he was aware. Ya Muhammad, we have lost your way, we have gone astray, but oh child, stay strong. He'll show you the way, show you the way. Ya Habibi, Ya Mustafa, he'll show you the way, show you the way. Ya Habibi, Ya Mujtaba, I'm searching for your love, searching for your love. Show me the way. With my hands raised I pray. Show me the way. Ya Rabbi, show me the way. Show me the way. Ya Allah, Ya Ghafoor Rahim. Show me the way, show me the way. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman.
Revive FM
94.0 on the radio,
on your mobile,
and online.
So we are back listening to Tahreem and Hafsa on 94.0 Revive FM, and we're bringing you the Unspoken Taboos. Obviously, before we left off, and you heard that lovely nasheed, Show Me the Way by Brother Abdullah, Hafsa was telling us something very interesting about the rise in the divorce rates in the UK, particularly in the South Asian community. So I was really intrigued to understand that the adultery element of it is not really intimacy.
Well, it's not really physical intimacy as such.
Yeah,
I think
it's more like emotional.
It is, yeah, it is. I think we will discuss that a bit more later on. I just want to discuss a few more reasons. I mean, why else do people divorce? I think simply just realizing that you've married the wrong person. Now, as I said earlier, with lockdowns and social distancing, forcing people to spend lots of time together, and in many cases, although this has acted as a catalyst for breakups, but I think these issues, divorce is probably on the cards for a lot of people, and these separate routines that people had, waking up, going to work, and just doing your own thing, spending time with your family and friends, it's probably a way of just masking the issues that you and your partner probably already had before. And spending time together, more quality time together in the house, has just probably brought those issues on the surface. And as a result, you probably realize actually we can't stand one another and we're not compatible. So then what do? You realize that you can't actually live together.
Yeah.
And then that's definitely a reason for marriages to break up. So definitely. Yeah. So just realizing not marrying the wrong person. What do you think, Tahreem?
Oh, you know what? It's an interesting topic, and I personally feel like emotional affairs definitely override the physical affairs, purely because an emotional affair involves an element of connection whereby you're connected.
Yeah.
mentally, your souls connect, and there may not even be a physical element to that affair at all. But the fact that you're thinking about that person, talking to them throughout the day, or maybe that's the first person you think about when you wake up or reach out to, and the last person you kind of just have a natter with before you go to bed, that in itself is a massive deal. And as a wife or as a husband, I don't think I could tolerate that. I could probably tolerate a physical affair, actually, to be honest, because I'd be like, you know what, okay, it's done. Let's just get over this and work towards our future together. But an emotional connection is very hard to override, because it shows a very big gap in your marriage.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a very strong bond. Yeah, and it almost forms into an emotional attachment. But how do you define what an emotional affair is? I mean, like, people could just justify it saying, yeah, but we're just really good friends. I mean, like, can a guy and a girl ever be friends? Is there such thing as platonic relationships between a man and a woman? I mean, like, how
I feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, how do you, like, you wake, you go to work, or, you have a work colleague there, you confide in him, you talk to him.
You can have a work colleague, but you can't ever call that work colleague a friend, because ultimately your relationship with that work colleague ends when your work finishes, your conversations about work. And through the conversation, through maybe lunch, work, get together.
Or even outside of work,
events.
He might be texting you or calling you and say, oh, by the way, I just thought you were upset earlier today. I just want to call in and just to see how you are.
I think that's overstepping the boundaries, isn't it?
Yes, it's a hard one. So, but he might just, like,
if she's got a husband at home, her husband should be picking up those signs, right? And if he's got a wife at home, then she should be picking up on the signs that they either or is upset. She or he need to turn to a work colleague, and if they are, then there's obviously something they need to kind of focus on and address in their own personal lives and marriage.
Yeah, it's a hard one. It's an interesting one, because some may argue, no, we're just good friends, and what's wrong? Why can't you have a male friendship or a female friendship after once you're married?
Added a twist to this,
yeah.
Because,
so
like I said,
it's
I don't
interesting.
personally agree that a man and a woman can be friends. Not completely without organically being friends, and like actually the guy or the girl not find something attractive in the opposite, sex. I do think you can call somebody a brother and actually genuinely look up to them as a brother figure or a father figure or sister figure or a mother figure. But the whole friend thing, because the thing is, look, at the end of the day, if I am having a great conversation with a man, I'm going to say brother XYZ, especially if I'm married or if I'm committed somewhere. There's no reason for me to refer to him as a friend. The only time I'm going to refer to him as a friend and not give him the brother title is because I want to keep that channel of non-brotherliness open.
I suppose it's putting the boundaries in place in your relationship with whoever that may be.
Everybody's a brother, right? And everyone's a sister, realistically speaking. I mean, even like from an Islamic context,
Islamically,
you are brothers and sisters in Islam until and when you are in nikah with each other.
I suppose it's an interesting one, but I mean, okay, if we were to just dig a little bit deeper here, but why do people feel like they need to turn to someone else for an emotional connection?
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying, isn't it? If you are in a marriage or in a relationship and you're having to turn to somebody else for an emotional or mental connection, then you need to reevaluate your relationship and maybe seek counseling or actually sit down and really make a decision, because you can't continue like that. It's wrong and haram on so many platforms.
It is, I understand. If you have an emotional, the thing is, the way I see it is, you may have an emotional void, right? And you might feel like your partner just doesn't get you, doesn't understand where you're coming from. You might not feel valued, appreciated, or cherished. And if you're having to turn to somebody else to satisfy your emotional needs, I think people need to dig a little further and think, okay, you know what? I think a lot of it boils down to insecurities and your confidence and your own self-esteem. And we turn to our partners for a lot of validation. And I think a lot of people will walk into marriages or even relationships expecting a certain amount of attention or appreciation or whatever that may be.
Or a bed of roses, and I think it's going to be simple, easy, smooth sailing. But
and if their emotional needs aren't satisfied, then it's okay. You know what? It's my partner to blame. Now, don't get me wrong. To a certain extent, it's important that you communicate to your partner. If you are somebody that likes to be cherished, compliments given to you all the time, or if you need to be reminded of your achievements and who you are or the way you, whatever, if you feel that, you need to communicate that, like we said in our previous show, identifying your love language. But if you have lots of insecurity issues about yourself, and there might be some unresolved trauma there from childhood, then again, it really is about seeking professional help. And I think people just don't realize, and they think they blame their partner, and as a result, then they go out looking for it elsewhere, thinking, well, I'm not being satisfied in my marriage. Okay, let me go and look for it with somebody else. But really, it's them. You know what? Honestly, the best relationship you can have is with yourself. I think it's so crucial that you fall in love with yourself first, understand yourself as a human, work on your own spiritual connection before walking into a marriage. And that way you're sort of content, almost content.
Perhaps. But I know you said that, you said something about, the fact that it's not always the other person that needs to, if a person is lacking emotional connection or mental connection, right? It's not always that person's fault, right?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's not
stimulation.
Yeah, but stimulation, right? Okay, fine. If you feel in life or in marriage, after marriage, a certain amount of years, when the honeymoon period phases out, you might feel bored, and you're looking for, as humans, we want mental stimulation. But why do we always look for that inside our marriages? Yes, to a certain extent, our partners can fulfill that, but look for stimulation elsewhere, outside of your marriages, whether that's your career or anything else you want to get involved with outside of your career, setting yourself some personal goals.
Are we talking men or women? What exactly?
I think it's for both. But
you have to remember, in a marriage, there does come a point when a woman can't actually give all of her emotional and mental connection to that man that she has vowed to spend her life with. She has kids, she's got housework, and fair enough, he's going out. But at the same time, when he comes home, he needs to understand that, she's drained. Mentally, children are very draining, doing school runs, cooking, cleaning, and by the time they're in bed at 7, 8, 9 p.m., whatever your routine is, and it's time to give your partner that mental and emotional self of you, you're exhausted.
Yeah, but so I suppose that's where you self-reflect, and that's about balancing it across the board. But I think a lot of people, when they realize that there isn't any much stimulation in your marriage, and you're trying, and I suppose as time goes on, you start to you might outgrow your partner, and you might start turning into different people, and it's like, oh sugar, what happens now? What do we do? I might not be the same person as I was when at the beginning of our marriage or relationship, and now I've turned into a different person now. But
Hafsa,
we realize that
look,
we have different.
Isn't that just a natural process of growing up anyway?
Even if you're single, what people realize, you evolve and you grow on your own. Of course you do. Personal growth, a marriage is about growth, but that's what people don't realize. That it's normal to feel bored, but it doesn't give people an excuse to just stop going to have affairs, because it's like that's another reason why people have affairs. Boredom, spice up your life, and the excitement and the thrill of meeting someone new. It gives your the feeling of having that butterfly feeling in your stomach, the dopamine rush in your brain. It's excitement. It's stimulation. People, I think, confuse boredom for being unhappy.
All these affairs. Have an affair with your wife. Have an affair with your husband.
It's boring though.
It's not. There's so many ways of channeling that excitement and making it all lovely, and giving your partner that butterflies in his or her stomach feeling. And we discussed this previously in previous shows, wearing a certain sense or being in a certain way, dressed in a certain way. But anyway, I do want to tell you something that I know, because we've been talking about one of the biggest reasons you saying being affairs, and obviously
I just want to, I'm just going to add to that very quickly. So although we talk about emotional intimacy, and I suppose I suppose it might be more common for women, maybe it's for some men, but I think even insecurity for a man, for some, every hole is a goal. So the feeling, it really is, from the feeling of knowing that, that they can still attract, it's a way of boosting their ego. Feeling the way that we can attract.
So Hafsa, before we carry on, we've got a lovely guest speaker coming on. I'm going to let you introduce him shortly, but before I do, I just want to tap into something here. Divorce rates are increasing around the world, and relationship experts have actually warned that the spike has happened drastically over the pandemic, and it's and basically they're calling them pandemic-induced breakups, pandemic-induced separations, and pandemic-induced divorces. And those are things that are happening without this affair element to it.
Yeah,
because you're stuck at home. You can't actually go out and have a physical affair. You can't even have an emotional affair because you're like literally in each other's pockets.
Actually, I disagree, because about cyber affairs, like, okay,
well,
fine, you might
they're
not go
definitely
out.
trending, but
internet dating, the mobile phone culture, the more social media,
get some
internet dating, and
expert perspective on that. We have a lovely guest on our show today, very intelligent from what I understand, and he's going to really stimulate those brain cells in our head. But before we let him come online, do need to go for a quick short break. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. We have got who?
Mr. Divorce Coach.
That's right, we've got Mr. Divorce Coach joining us after the break, and I'm really, really super excited because I've heard that he's got a really nice voice too.
If you want to advertise your business on Revive FM, then visit www.revivefm.co.uk. Alternatively, contact our sales team now on 07944 56 5616. That's 07944 56 5616.
Thinking about selling or letting your home? With Maxwell Estates, you don't need to look any further. Well established with over 15 years of experience, Maxwell Estates are specialists in residential sales and lettings. We manage over 200 properties in and around Northwest London, keeping our landlords and tenants updated with all the latest laws and legislations. Based in Edgware, our experienced specialist negotiators always ensure we maximize the full potential of your property. Call us now on 0208 952 0808 for a free no obligation quotation, or visit our website www.maxwellestates.co.uk for further information. Maxwell Estates, the name you can trust.
Need your tyres checked? Have a flat or a nail in your tyre? Don't panic. Visit B1 Tyres. Our professional and friendly team will have you back on the road in no time. We stock over 3,000 tyres and have some of the best prices in town. Wheel alignment, alloy gaiters, and wheel refurbs are just some of the services that we offer. So call us on 0203 875 3525 or visit us at B1 Tyres, Unit B, 43 to 49 Fowler Road in Hainault. B1 Tyres, the garage you can trust.
ये आयशा है। ये बहुत छोटी सी थी जब इसके वालिद का एक हादसे में इंतकाल हो गया। वो अपनी माँ और छोटे बहन भाइयों के साथ रहती है। आयशा जैसी लाखों बच्चियां जिंदगी की बुनियादी सहूलतों से बिल्कुल महरूम हैं। यही वजह है कि वो स्कूल भी नहीं जा सकती। मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन ने आपके एहतियात और अपनी खिदमत दुनिया भर के यतीम और बेसहारा बच्चों के लिए वक्फ कर दी है। एक यतीम और बेसहारा बच्चे का सहारा बनिए। आज ही अतिया कीजिए। अभी कॉल मिला 0300 3030 या हमारी वेबसाइट विजिट करें www.minhajwelfare.org.
Nikah, talaq, counseling on matrimonial disputes, Islamic wills, Islamic law of inheritance, or an Islamic verdict on any other issue. The Muslim Sharia Council is at your service. We provide official certification, and our experienced and highly qualified imams are available to provide you with guidance when needed. MQI London is based at 292 to 296 Romford Road, Forest Gate. We are open from Monday to Friday 2 to 4 p.m. or alternatively call us now on 0208 257 1786.
Revive FM
94.0. On the radio.
On your mobile.
And online.
So, welcome back, guys. You're listening to Hafsa and Tahreem on the Unspoken Taboos. We're bringing you the show on 94.0 Revive FM. And today's topic has been about divorce, the rising rates in divorce. And, funnily enough, I've got a couple of friends listening, and they are saying to me that one of them will, she's got a couple of little ones, and she says, I do feel like everything I do, I do feel like I do everything, although he works and he brings the money home, but I'm constantly non-stop at it. And obviously she feels like, this is something that does impact her relationship with her husband, and, God forbid, but could potentially lead to worse scenarios.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe her mental health might be deteriorating as a result.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of whatever
I mean,
is that
any
they're going
normal,
through.
sane person would.
Mhm.
And then, I've got another one who's messaged us on Instagram saying disrespecting your partner, lack of understanding, lack of communication, they all add to going towards the whole.
Yeah, I suppose issues more coming on the surface and turning into something bigger. So again, if you're not able to communicate your needs to your partner, it just shows that maybe you two are not compatible, and as a result, could bring your marriage to an end. Sadly,
But let's enough of the waffle from us.
Mhm.
Let's hear from the divorce coach. Very, very excited to hear his input and his wisdom. Hafsa, do you want to introduce him?
All right, yes. So now this is certainly a very interesting individual. He has a wealth of knowledge and experience when it comes to divorces. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to Mr. Divorce Coach. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you very much for having me. I was just hearing you a minute ago before the break mentioning that apparently I have a nice voice, so hopefully I'm going to live up to your listener standards.
How are you?
I am very, very well. I've just been finishing off a podcast and a YouTube recording around something called nesting arrangements. So if anyone wants to know what that is, it's a really interesting, quite modern process where actually both the parents move in and out of the family home as opposed to the children, to keep the children in a safe, secure environment. So
Interesting.
go and have a watch of that.
So, Mr. Divorce Coach, can you just start off by telling us who is Mr. Divorce Coach and what does he do?
Cool. Well, Mr. Divorce Coach, I'm a 38-year-old man, live in Bedfordshire, grew up in North London and Hertfordshire. I've been divorced for 4.5, almost 5 years. I've got 2 boys from my first marriage. I'm also very lucky to have 2 stepchildren with my new partner. Well, saying new, we've been together for about 4 years, so not that new. I actually also grew up in, I suppose, the world of divorce, family courts, blended families, all of that. My parents separated when I was 3. So back in 1986, I grew up with my dad, my 2 sisters, and then my later stepmom and 3 stepbrothers. So I'm used to big families and have experienced this both as a child, as a teenager, as a dad, as a father, as a co-parent, and a partner, and all those kind of life experiences. And then I'm also a certified life and business coach, and also trained in various psychology-themed treatments like neurolinguistic programming, something called timeline therapy, hypnotherapy, and I'm just finishing off cognitive behavior therapy as well. So mixing all that professional experience with life experience is where Mr. Divorce Coach came from. I'd just like to caveat that I'm not an advocate for divorce. It's not that I want people to. A lot of my work, whether it's with individuals or indeed with couples, because I work with couples as well, is it could be in a variation of experiences and circumstances. So it could be before, during, or after. So a lot of the time it's also helping people reconnect. And I think a lot of the points that you guys have made today, even when you just touched on, let's talk about some of those reasons you mentioned earlier, didn't you, about adultery. Whatever the situation is, unless it's obviously something where it's safeguarding, it's abuse, etc., it's physical, the large proportion of, let's say, grassroots level reasonings and where that breakdown kind of comes from, it really predominantly and fundamentally all comes back to communication. So where you mentioned earlier about adultery, no one goes to bed on Monday night even mildly content in a relationship and wakes up on Tuesday and goes, that one, leaving to them. There's a systematic build up, and again, just bridging it back to communication, that could be, again, a multitude of reasons. There could be wants and needs and passions and support, whether that's emotive, physical, support around the help. I think you mentioned a moment ago, Kareem, about your friend where she feels like she's doing non-stop. Husband works a lot, obviously providing in a traditional sense from financially, but obviously there's a disconnect, and one of them, potentially even both of them, either aren't saying what their wants and needs are to feel happy and acknowledged and validated in the relationship. They also might not know how to broach that because of fears, concerns, worries, upsets, etc. So
actually, I don't know how you feel about this, Tom, but I've come across couples and I've spoken to them whereby a lot of them refuse to seek help because they're actually quite scared of the result that the help is going to come back with, because some of them are at a point, they're at a very pivotal point where they've actually realized that they don't want to be where they are, and it's the end of the road, if you know what I'm saying.
No, I know what you mean. I've had this question and this kind of discussion before, and I always used to try and link it with analogies, and I always think, I'm a bit of a car guy, so I use a car analogy. Let's say you're going down the road, you know your tyres are probably not great, they're a little bit bald, you probably need to change them, but you maybe don't think you have the money to, or don't really want to spare the money for getting it done. Well, ultimately you have a choice. Keep going down the road and see if it blows, and you might have an accident. Or go and see if you can borrow 50 quid to get your tyre changed, put it on a credit card, whatever it is that you need to invest. Let's just kind of give that banner, invest in the opportunity to not have the tyre pop on you going down the M25. It's a lot of the work that I do is also as preventative measures as well. So it's helping couples reconnect. A lot of the time, it can also be helping clients to unpack those emotions that actually might have past and traumatic experiences that aren't anything to do with their relationship at all. And there's a lot of the time there's things that we keep inside and we don't share. So there might be other things going on.
Like unresolved trauma, things that they might have gone through throughout their childhood, which and they probably have, high walls built up and their defense and coping mechanisms. And they probably don't even realize it's that. But I suppose when you dig really deep, and speak to them during sessions, and it's about unpicking and going through those layers, and they realize actually it's a result of this, or when I went through that when I was younger, that's causing me to feel a certain way, and those issues and start coming up on the surface. So that's interesting.
To flip that.
The other thing I was going to say is that the human mind needs acknowledgement. If you think about it, there's a huge issue that's about to bubble up and is already starting to pop within social media influencers and their mental health. Because when you are very young and you're building up a Twitter or whatever following, as soon as those likes and comments, etc., that gratification starts to decline, then you're starting to question yourself. And if you think about it in terms of, rather than gratification, what actually they're seeking is acknowledgement. And the human mind needs acknowledgement. Even if you think about it in work context, if you've ever worked somewhere where, do you know what, they weren't treating you very well, they didn't say thank you, they didn't appreciate your work, and even if they offered you more money, you wouldn't stay, because actually what you wanted was a thank you, you're doing a great job, I see you, you're fantastic, great part of the team. If you're not getting that, you're not getting the validation, the acknowledgement of what's important to you. And it's not to say that if the two of you come and work with someone like myself, or even a marriage counsellor, etc., because coaching and counselling is very different, it's not to say that you're immediately all going to open up, but at least start to acknowledge each other and understand ways that you could move forward and change things.
That's an interesting point you made there, Tom. I think I can't agree with you, but I think only to a certain extent. I do understand as humans, we want to feel heard, we want to feel connected, we want to feel seen, we want to feel valued, appreciated, of course. But I think a lot of that comes from within. It's like I said earlier, that the most important relationship you can have is the one with yourself. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, your partner is there to help support you and provide you with some emotional support. But I think a lot of that is your own work. That you do yourself. Like, it's okay, it's natural to want external validation from time to time, but are we heavily reliant on our partners in marriages for this this emotional dependency of that? No, he or she is going to make me feel a certain way, so he or she needs to do this or
but
do
isn't
that.
I don't know, I think that's a given, isn't it? I mean, I'm signing my life away to you here, dude. I'm walking down this aisle taking vows. You're bloody telling me you love me. Show some gratitude, because you know what? I'm going to show you the same back. It's a tip. It is. You know what? As much as I'd like to deny it and say relationships and marriages shouldn't be tit for tat, but ultimately they are. You only give as much as you get, and then there does come a point when you're giving too much, and you step back and you think, oh damn, I've been giving too much. You know what? I'm not getting that same back. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, no, I do agree. And I think what's very interesting, actually, is because you guys were talking about some stats earlier as well. And one of the things that I think is quite insightful is traditionally a lot of people, we do kind of a lot of self-work as we get older and we evolve and develop and we become wiser, don't we? We become older and wiser. when you guys were talking about stats earlier and the increases of divorce rates, well, a couple of things come to mind. One, you've also got this increase in divorce rates, but you also have a very drastic decline in the marriages. So it's actually a double-edged sword. One of the things I was going to say about as you evolve and grow older and become older and wiser is one of the largest demographics that is divorcing, specifically in the UK, but in the wider world as well, but specifically in the UK and in North America, is what the term they call grey divorce, 50, 65 plus. Now, these are people who are potentially more financially secure. The kids have grown up and left home. They are starting to reevaluate their lives and thinking, I could probably live till 80, 90, possibly even more. Do I really want to spend the next 30, 40 years with this person? What's actually important to me? Do we have the same values? Do we want to do the same things? I want to go traveling. They want to sit on the sofa and watch Trisha. Like all these different real world things.
Yeah,
that come.
absolutely. I mean,
and
you've
actually,
spent a whole life together, haven't you? So I suppose you do come to a point where you have done the thing, you've done the milestones, you've kind of ticked all the boxes, and you're thinking, oh God, you know what, I really need to do this. I need to get it out of my system before I'm 6 foot under. So
you've grown out of love. I suppose you grow apart.
No, I don't think so. I think a lot of
these stats are interesting as well because
growing out of love, Tom, or do you think the great divorces, as you mentioned, the late bloomers? I don't think it's actually anything to do with lacking of love. I think it's actually just to do with the fact that they still very much love each other, but they've done their duties, they've stood by each other, they've been in a great relationship, raised great kids, done some great, amazing, got some achievements under their belt, and now they've just come to a point where like, listen, I still love you, but I've only got maybe another 10 years left. So I want to do this. Join me or let me do it on my own.
Yeah, so you're leaving them out of love. You're leaving them marriage out of love. You're letting them go because you want what's best for them. You want them to, feel like they've made the most of their lives. They've achieved. They've done everything they want you to do. So it's like
there is one statistic I came across recently though, and I thought this was quite interesting. The average length of a marriage is 12.5 years, 12 and a half years before it starts to deteriorate. What's your thought on that, Tom?
My thought is I didn't quite make it. I got to 11 years.
Don't worry, I just about made it to 10.
I was nowhere near
well, again, looking at the way the world evolves and the way all of our lives change as well, and whether that's work impact, family impact, people have children later in life because they're focused on getting on the property ladder, building careers, etc. So people are starting to marry later and have children later. So again, that could be an impact. You've also then, even think about COVID, you've now got people that everyone's working from home or living from work, living at work, whatever way you want to look at it. And they're moving, they're moving, some people are moving out of major cities, out of London, Manchester, etc. And they're moving back to where the family roots are. And that might be in a little village in Yorkshire. It might be on the south coast. So there's a whole demographic of changing. What you've also got to consider as well is intergenerational divorces. So I'm second generation divorce. My parents, when they separated, they spent 2 years going through court, and I didn't see my mum again until I was about 16. I grew up with my dad. And one of the things for me that was ultimately important and fundamental was, whilst my romantic relationship was over with my wife, we would find a way to work together. And actually, we had the contentious emails, we battled it through the family courts, and that was a challenge, and that's one of the reasons why I do this and why I retrained and left my old industry to do something completely different, was to figure out a way to do things differently. And now, really good friends, her partner, a fantastic guy. I think Hafsa, you saw my Happy Father's Day post to my kid's stepdad. Because he's a really important person in their lives, and actually
just tell everyone, am I right in saying your current partner, her ex-partner is now your ex-girlfriend's partner? Is that right?
It's a bit, you need like a CS. Okay, you need like a CSI board with some string.
Okay, so Tom, I'm just gonna interesting. That's really interesting. Just one last question, Tom. Mr. Divorce Coach, I just want to if you can tell our listeners just a little bit about your services and how can they find you, and what do you offer in terms of.
I'm going to give you exactly 30 seconds, Tom.
Right, you can find me on pretty much any social media platform as at Mr. Divorce Coach or mrdivorcecoach.co.uk. I offer a free 45-minute consultation for any interested parties. I work with individuals and And that can be whether you are thinking about it in the processes, or it might be years down the line and you're looking for co-parenting tips, communication strategies, overcoming negative emotions.
That's it. Time's up. Perfect.
Thank you so much, Tom.
Summarized it in 30 seconds. You've been doing this for way too long, Tom.
Thomas, just sorry, another 10 seconds. You want to tell everybody about your clubhouse every Friday?
Oh, yes, every Friday for any of those on Clubhouse. If you're not, send me a message. I'll send you an invite. Every Friday at 2:30 p.m. UK time, we run the UK Divorce Club. It's an interactive live space just like this. We talk about different topics. Everyone's invited to come and share, ask their questions, share a story, insight, seek help. We have coaches, mediators, solicitors, other people that have just been through this.
But listen, that all sounds really amazing. We're going to put your social media handles on our platforms, obviously, and we're really, really grateful for you to have joined the
amazing
show
work
today. It was
you're
really
doing.
amazing,
Yeah, it really is.
really, really appreciate all the knowledge and wisdom that you have to share. And I hope the listeners will follow you and they will maybe even utilize your services, because there's definitely a dire need for it out there.
Yeah, definitely. It's very, very impressive, Tom. And I think our listeners have certainly gained an insight into your services and, about divorces in general and reasons and etc. Anyway, we need to wrap up. We have run out of time. Thank you so much once again, Tom. It was lovely having you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully we'll have you again in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I think I'm now contemplating just replacing you with Hafsa.
You can take my spot.
And you do have a lovely voice. I can't deny that. So, it's a little bit better than Hafsa's, that's for sure. But thank you, Tom, for joining us. Have a lovely week ahead, and take care.
Hopefully see you again soon.
You too, ladies. Thank you very much for having me. Have a good day.
Bye. Bye.
Wow, that was lovely. So insightful. And we have come to the end of this show. Unfortunately, we've got to wrap up. But I hope you guys enjoyed this show. It was quite a lot to discuss in that little short 1 hour that we get. As we end it, I'd like to just add a little statistic there. So I love my statistics. But you know what? In actual fact, the percentage of marriages that started to decline and have been declining quite steadily began in the mid-1990s. And I think that's something I really want to delve into and see what was happening, in the economy, in the world, and, genders across the world, which kick-started that decline, and then how we had kind of progressively...
The feminist movement. That's what kick-started it.
Progressively gone worse and worse and worse. And at this moment in time where we stand, Office of National Statistics website states that sadly around 42% of marriages still end in divorce, which is such a shame. That's last time when we were in the last show we did with Mohammed, that's 1 in 3 people. If you're in a room full of 30, 10 of them will most likely.
Sadly, the government's strategy of trying to keep people together, offering marriage allowances.
But you know what? We need to change that, people. We need to change that. So
it's not working.
We're going to bring some positivity to the shows in the upcoming shows and talk about how to change that and really, keep that love alive and keep that constitution of marriage going, inshallah.
Okay.
So bye from Tahreem,
and thank you again for listening. Enjoy your week, and we're hopefully back next week with another exciting topic.
That's right.
I hope you enjoyed the show. You'll be listening to Tahreem and Hafsa on the Unspoken Taboos. Bye. Ciao. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Everyone